Number 13. Determine whether the outcome is a type 1 error, a type 2 error, or correct decision. A test is made up of the null hypothesis of mu equals to 28 versus an alternative hypothesis, mu does not equal to 28. By the way, this is a two-tailed test. The true value of mu is 29 and the null is rejected. So here's our table, right? Do we reject the null? Do we not reject the null? And then after that, we determine if the null is actually true and the null is actually false. I'm not going to lie to you. I never kind of understood this table design until I took a different approach of handling it. So when you're doing hypothesis testing, right, you can either reject the null or not reject the null. Do not reject null. Some people say if you don't reject the null, you accept the null. So I'm going to put that in parentheses. Now, this is from our study. And then I'm going to have over here a column for reality. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Now, if you reject the null hypothesis, and in reality, the null is false, or excuse me, the null is true. I'm going to use this. The null is true. That means you rejected true information. That's a type 1 error. If your study, you rejected your null hypothesis, but in reality, the null is false, that is a correct decision. You rejected false information. Now, let's say in your study, you did not reject your null, which means you accepted your null. If you accepted your null and the null is true, that is a correct decision. Because think about it, you accepted true information. If you look right here, do not reject the null and the null is true, correct decision. Let's say you do not reject the null. In this case, we can say you accept the null and the null is false. That is going to be a type 2 error. Because you accepted false information. And that is basically this table right here. That is how it's interpreted in words or into a better diagram. So in this case, right, we have our hypothesis. Mu equals 28. An alternative, mu does not equal to 28. In this case, right, it says the true value of mu is 29 and the null is rejected. So the null is rejected, right? I'm going to X out the null. That means I am taking the alternative. And mu is in fact equal to 29. In this case, that will be a correct decision. Once again, I rejected the null. And in reality, the null is false. Because the null is false, that is a correct decision. The null says mu equals 28, right? In reality, mu is 29. In your study, you rejected that claim that mu is 28. And you took the claim that mu is not 28. And in reality, mu is 29. Because mu is 29, you made the correct decision by rejecting the fact that the mean is 28. That's why, once again, it is a correct decision. Now, before I end this video, what happens if we switched it up a little bit, right? Let's reset things a little bit. Let's say instead of it saying the true value of mu is 29, let's say the true value of mu is 28. I can't even write my 8s correctly. Once again, you're rejecting the null hypothesis. So we're rejecting the null. right? But the true value, in reality, mu is 28, which means you just rejected true information. Because you rejected true information, that is a type 1 error. That would be a type 1 error. Because you rejected the fact that mu is 28, but in reality, the mean is 28. The true mean is 28. That is an example of type 1 error. Alright guys, that's it to this video. I kind of want to show you the difference between type 1 and type 2 error. Hope that made sense. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, the correct answer is going to be a correct decision because you rejected the null like it says up here, and you rejected false information because the mean is actually 29 instead of stating that it's 28 in the null hypothesis. All right, guys, take care.